What's up, you guys? It's Alex Corson with your MSP Backup. I am here after a week-long hiatus with everything that was going on last week and the civil unrest and the last 8-9 days of peaceful protests and looters and riots and all of that. The one thing I didn't want to do was be a distraction for all of that, so I did take a week off. Thought it would be the wisest approach, but I am back this week, and I do want to say that, with everything going on, and it has been a year already, right? Like, we've already been staying home and COVID and murder hornets, and now I don't even know if I'm allowed to say COVID. Anyways, and now with all of this craziness, and people still are blowing my mind by not even admitting that there is some sort of white privilege going on in this country. I mean, if you don't see it, you're blind. And I'm sorry that you didn't see it, but hey, now hopefully your eyes are open, and if you look like me, or you look like one of my other white friends out there, maybe look at the mirror, see what we can do to help to support our brothers and sisters out there that just kind of look a little different. So the whole thing is just mind-blowing that some people didn't see that this is the reality that we live in. So I'm not going to be on a soapbox about it. This is not a political channel at all. This is a resource-driven channel, just so that you guys can see how to run an MSP business a little bit better, how you can improve your stack, how you can sort of make the most of crazy situations, and how I can be a resource to help you through all of that. So that being said, just so that you know what I was doing last week, the chair's done. It's white leather. I'm really excited right now. Anyways, we've got a lot going on in my house too. Right now we are actually planning on moving a little closer to the job that I ended up going back to up in West Palm, and we're leaving Miami, so that's happening. My husband got a job closer in Fort Lauderdale, so that works out well, so I can still be a resource for everybody. I'm just gonna be a little bit further north and not in Miami, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of okay with it. Anyways, what I wanted to do today is go over, I promised you all to go over the different backup strategies and what you can do versus what a lot of people do. And so I'm just basically going to go through the 3 different types of ways people will make their backups work. I just don't think that this week is the time to do it. I think that right now, with everything going on, my own form of protest and support, I guess, is to do something a little bit different, and that is to list out a bunch of businesses that I am aware of, that I have supported for a long time, that just happen to be owned by minorities. And it's time, if you're not a minority-owned business, much love to you. May the best man get the client. But the way I look at it, guys, is that there are more than enough clients out there for everybody. And if you can do your small part to help to support everybody on equal footing, and then still remove a little bit of that white privilege that you may have experienced. There was a really interesting article that I read in college, and then a girlfriend of mine actually posted it this past week, and it was about the knapsack of white privileges that some of us are afforded. And I'm not going to go too much into myself and my history, but for about 9 years I was with my daughter's father, and he happened to be fun and exciting and great relationship there were problems. I'm not with him anymore, but there were a really, really good guy. His family is my family. Love them to death. Produced a beautiful little girl. They happen to be black. So when I'm reading the articles of the white privilege knapsack and everything that you have that we take for granted, I was able to recognize some of that just because of association, right? It allows you to see what you've been given that you take for granted. For example, I can be speaking to a lot of you right now watching, and I know that about 80% of you watching me look just like me. And that's something that we take for granted. I also am showing that just from demographics, right? Like I can see who's watching me. I can see the socioeconomic background of who's watching and who's getting the information right now, which is why I'm having this conversation on this platform, because it is so important for everybody to know what is at stake and why it's so important to be treating everybody just like people. To me, it drives me crazy when you have a white person saying, "Oh, I don't see color," right? And Trevor Noah says it all the time, right? It's if you don't see color, then you're colorblind, right? Because the color that you see is just one more thing that makes that person unique and special, right? And the fact that somebody says they don't see color, I understand what they're trying to say, and I understand that it is meant from a good spot, but if they don't see color, it takes away from that person's culture, what makes them a little bit more unique. It's how they identify. I grew up Jewish, and if you don't think of religion, right, that's just one more thing that makes me. It gives me some of my worldview, right? So it's so important to understand that it's okay to see color, right? It's okay to appreciate where everybody comes from, but to not understand the white privilege that you have been afforded, that's when we have an issue. That's when we have people that are feeling oppressed because they are feeling marginalized and they are feeling like they don't have a voice. And it is driving me absolutely up the wall that this has escalated to this point, and much of what we've been seeing over the last 9 days or so has been so reminiscent of the late 60s and the early 70s and the civil rights movement, and how many people had to die then for history to just repeat itself. So anyways, I know I'm going off on a soapbox. I promise you next week I will be all about the types of backups that you can use as an MSP. But for now, please look below. Please support some of the businesses that I list. Some of these people are some of my absolute dearest friends. Some are just really good business owners that I have had the privilege of working with, and they just happen to be black. And it's something that we need to be supporting. We need to stand up. We need to just to say you support them, and just to say you love them, and just to say things are wrong and things are skewed. It's not enough anymore. So my challenge to anybody that looks like me or anybody that isn't suffering from this in this country in a way that our black friends and family are, just look inside a little bit, see what more you can do, because it's not enough to just say, man, I hate racism. You can't do it. This type of systemic racism now has been permeating through the fabric of this country for so long that it takes conscious effort. I mean, I see it too, and I fall into the trap as well. I can't throw stones because have I benefited from it? Absolutely, absolutely. Have I caught it every single time? Mm-mm. No, because I take things for granted, and if I take things for granted and I'm relatively socially conscious, who else has been taking things for granted that they just didn't put it together, right? So it's not enough to play dumb and to be, oops, I didn't know, right? It's our responsibility to know. It's our responsibility to educate ourselves. It is our responsibility to make sure that this type of action does not go unchecked anymore. So, guys, that's all I have today. I wasn't anticipating doing this. I was actually going to try to go for the MSP guidance and business building. I think the only thing that I really want to do today is show my support and use this as my own, kind of protest and help towards my brothers and sisters that haven't been able to speak up for themselves or have felt marginalized and not listened to. So again, please, if you like the content on this channel, hit subscribe, hit the bell. I'll see you next week. Don't forget to look in the description below for some of my absolute favorite businesses that I would love to support by minorities and people that hold tans way better than I do, unfortunately. I'm pale little white girl. So, all right, guys, have a great one. Talk to you soon.